Hi everyone, today I'm here with a different video that I have ever done before, and that's going to be my summer reading list and recommendations. So I love makeup, that's obviously one of my biggest passions, but I also love to read, and summertime is my favorite time to read because I get summers off with my job and it allows me to have a lot more free time. And so at the beginning of every summer I always pick out a bunch of books that I would like to read and set a goal of reading about 5 to 6 books. And I usually do reach that goal. And I feel like that goal is going to be a lot easier to reach now that we moved into our new house, because it has a really nice backyard with a deck where I can hang out the patio furniture and just relax and read. And ever since we moved, I have read a ton of books. So I know that I will be doing a lot more this summer. So I wanted to share the ones that I would be reading with you, and then I'm going to do a review of them in the fall time once I'm done them, or I might just do a few throughout the summer. We'll see how it goes. Also, I'm going to be sharing some of my recommendations for you if you are looking for some summer reading as well. So these are the books that I chose to read this summer. Before I get started, I should share the kinds of books I like so that if you're interested in the same ones, you know you'll probably like these, or you might like my recommendations. I like more dark, twisted books. I like where there's a mystery, where you need to figure out who did something terrible. Usually it's about murders, which it seems very depressing. My boyfriend always makes fun of me because I love to read books that are kind of depressing. And every time he asks me what a book is about, it's always, someone getting murdered or someone dying for some reason. And I think what appeals to me is I like trying to figure out how things happen. I like to figure out the twists before they happen. And I also like to kind of see in the mind of, I like to see in the minds of twisted people. I don't know, that sounds really crazy, but I think a lot of people enjoy those books. That's why they're so popular. So those are the kinds of books I like. I do like some light reads, which I'll be sharing with you, but mostly I like twisted crime novels where there's some type of twist that you need to, where you're trying to figure out what happened, who did it, what happened. Jodi Picoult, Vanishing is my first book. Is the first book that is on my list. I love Jodi Picoult. She is my favorite author. I love her style of books. They are crime based usually. There's a lot of things that will happen in court, and I love hearing about that. And she also usually has a few different perspectives of the different characters, and I like books that show the different perspectives of the characters so that you can kind of see what everybody's thinking and how they are viewing things that are happening. So this one is one that I purchased from Value Village, and if you like Jodi Picoult, there are a ton at Value Village. So I'm going to read the back of the book so that you can kind of hear what it's about and see if it's something you might be interested in as well. So it says, how do you recover the past when it was never yours to lose? Delia Hopkins has led a charmed life. Raised in rural New Hampshire by her beloved widowed father, she now has a young daughter, a handsome fiancé, and her own search and rescue bloodhound, which she uses to find missing persons. But as Delia plans her wedding, she's plagued by flashbacks of a life she can't recall, until a policeman knocks on her door, revealing a secret about herself that changes the world as she knows it, and threatens to jeopardize her future. With Vanishing Jodi Picoult explores how life as we know it might not turn out the way we imagined, how the people we loved and trusted could suddenly change before our very eyes, how the memory we thought had vanished could return as a threat. Once again, Picoult handles an astonishing and timely topic with understanding, insight, and compassion. So, I don't know, it kind of seemed interesting. Anything with missing persons, that always catches my eye. I just saw this one, thought it looked good. I've read so many of her books, and this one just caught my eye, so we're going to check it out. The next is one of my light reads, or I'm assuming it's a light read. It very much looks like a book that you'd read on the beach, and I like those books because I will be at the beach, I will be at the pool, and it's nice to have books where you can read, but then there's my dog going crazy. but then it's not a huge deal if you have to get up and go after a few pages, you know, like you're not so invested in the book. So this one just, again, looked pretty. It's called The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han, I'm guessing. I thought the cover was really pretty, and I think that it's something, if it's what I'm imagining it to be, something that a lot of girls can relate to. Not that there's always a summer that everybody turns pretty. We all go through periods where we don't feel very pretty in our lives, and I think there's always a point in someone's life where they feel like they kind of blossomed into themselves, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. But I thought that this would be something that I could relate to and a lot of other people. So it doesn't have anything on the back, but right here in the sleeve it says, some summers are just destined to be pretty. Belly, her name's Belly, measures her life in summers. Everything good, everything magical happens between the months of June and August. Winters are simply a time to count the weeks until the next summer, a place away from the beach house, away from Susanna, and most importantly, away from Jeremiah and Conrad. They are the boys that Belly has known since her very first summer. They have been her brother figures, her crushes, and everything in between. But one summer, one wonderful and terrible summer, the more everything changes, the more it all ends up just the way it should have been all along. To me, this seems like more of a teen novel, which I believe it is. I like these once in a while, again, because they're light, something I can just read and not feel the need to sit all day and read nonstop. So it's just a light summer read. I'm excited. Another one that is a light read, or I'm assuming it is again, is by one of my favorite YouTubers. Her name is Estee Lalonde, and she is a Canadian YouTuber, and I just think I just love to support YouTubers because I think it's so cool how they started, you know, filming videos, and now they have built a company, a business all on their own. That's pretty cool. So this one is called Bloom, Navigating Life and Style. This was a Christmas gift from my brother's girlfriend, and so I've been meaning to read this for so long, but to me it felt like more, again, that beachy type of read where I'm just going to kind of flip through and read, no pressure, really relaxing read. And this one, let's see what it talks about. In Bloom, Estee Lalonde shares the moments, people, and things that have made her who she is today. She reveals her life lessons and offers her tips for surviving life and finding yourself. Celebrate your Bloom story and what makes you unique, which kind of reminds me of this one. Like, I think this one is kind of a story about blooming. This one is as well. So it covers life, people, work, beauty, fashion, home, and travel and food. And so I like these ones just to kind of flip through to when you don't really have too much time, because there's beautiful pictures on every single page of Estee. And I guess it's just kind of going to tell her story and how she got to where she is today. So I'm really excited to learn more about her. All right, things are about to get dark again, real dark. We are going to go on to the next one that is called We Need to Talk About Kevin. This one is a movie, and I mean, this book came out a while ago, and I think the movie did as well. Okay, this is a very dark book, and I've heard really good things about it, but I heard it's pretty dark and twisted. So we'll see if it might even be a little bit too dark and twisted for me, but by reading the back, it seems like it's right up my alley. So it says, Eva never really wanted to be a mother, and certainly not the mother of a boy who ends up murdering seven of his fellow high school students, a cafeteria worker, and a much adored teacher who tried to befriend him, all 2 days before his 16th birthday. I'm going to pause there. I realize it's pretty long if I read the entire back of all these books. So basically this is a book about a boy who kills some of his classmates, his teachers. And to be honest, what really attracts me to this is just kind of understanding what would go on in his brain and then his family's, knowing that he did that. I think that's very interesting. And I read the book 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult, which I highly recommend that book. I think everybody should have to read it. I think they should be reading it in schools as young as grade 6, 7. Even though it's a very heavy topic, it is through the eyes of a boy who basically shoots and kills some of his classmates because of the severe bullying that he went through. And so I think bullying is something that, you know, we're becoming a lot more aware of, and the seriousness of it. And it, in a way, you feel bad for the boy, and you in a way understand, but not that we would ever support killing people, but it just gives you that perspective of how he got to that place mentally, and how he wasn't always there, but how much your actions can affect someone. So 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult is so powerful, so I'm hoping that this one is just as powerful. But again, reiterating, I would not support anyone killing or hurting anyone in any way, but it's just a very powerful read to see that perspective. Next one is called Girls on Fire. I actually don't know a whole lot about this one. I was really attracted to the cover, and I think it's more of a teen, like young adult novel. It says, but it has to do with murder, of course. 3 girls went into the woods, 2 came out. It sounds like a joke or a riddle, but it was only would ever after be the rest of our life. But it was only would ever after be the rest of our life. I don't really, that sentence sounds weird, but it says, shortly after Halloween 1991, the local high school basketball star is found in the woods near Battle Creek, Pennsylvania, with a bullet in his head and a gun in his hand. A discovery that sends tremors through his conservative community, already unnerved by growing rumors of satanic worship in the region. So obviously there's going to be, I'm sure, some types of twists in there. You're going to be thinking it's this person, then oh no, this person. So really excited about this one. The next one is actually a nonfiction book. This one is called Trafficked by Sofie Hayes, and it's a British girl miles from home, the man who said he loved her but sold her on the streets. So this is a story of Sofie Hayes. When she was 24, she went to Italy to visit the man who became her best friend. She spent an idyllic weekend together, and they spent an idyllic weekend together, and Sofie began to realize that she had found a man she might be able to love and trust. But as she got ready to fly back to England, everything changed. Kaz, I think that's how you say his name, Kaz, became violent as he told her of his intention to force her into prostitution, and Sofie's world collapsed. She wasn't going anywhere. Relentless, gripping, and utterly terrifying, Trafficked is the story of how a British girl was forced into the dark and dangerous world of the sex trade and how she survived. So this seems super intense, and it just kind of, I've got goosebumps. That would be absolutely terrifying, thinking you're never going to get home to your family and being forced into a life like that. Pretty terrifying. So I think it's worth at least reading her story and hearing about it, and a good lesson for young girls out there. My last book on my summer reading list, I actually started, but I've since paused from it. It's called The Silent Wife by A.S.A. Harrison. To be honest, when I first grabbed this book, it's because I thought it was The Couple Next Door. Like, I didn't think that said The Couple Next Door, but I remember seeing the covers and thinking that this was the one everybody was raving about. And this one is a popular one, but it's not as well liked as The Couple Next Door. So I purchased it because I thought it was super popular, but it's a story of Jodi and Todd. They're at a bad place in their marriage. Much is at stake, including the affluent life they lead in their beautiful waterfront condo in Chicago, as she, the killer, and he, the victim, rush haplessly toward the main event. He is a committed cheater. She lives and breathes denial. He exists in dual worlds. She likes to settle scores. He decides to play for keeps. She has nothing to lose. Told in alternating voices, The Silent Wife is about a marriage in the throes of dissolution, a couple headed for catastrophe, concessions that can't be made, and promises that won't be kept. I started this, it was good, but at the same time I was reading this, my friend lent me The Couple Next Door, so I paused this to read that book, and now I've since started other books like Dark Places. So this one is going to go into my summer reading pile, and I will finish it then. And now the second part of this video is my recommendations for summer reading. These are books that I enjoyed and I think lots of other people would enjoy. I decided to choose a range for this as well, and I hope if you do read them that you like them. First is just the ultimate light read any time of the year. Chicken Soup for the Soul, whatever you're interested in. I'm a huge dog lover. I have like 6 or 7 of these Chicken Soup for the Dog books. They have a ton of them, and every single time I buy a new one, I buy them. I love that there's such a mix. If you want something that's uplifting or sad or funny, they have all of them in here, and they're all related to dogs. I just think they are so enjoyable. Just quick little stories. If you have 5 minutes before bed, you can read 1 or 2 of these and then you're good to go. Another one for dog lovers. If you're not a dog lover, you probably won't like this that much. It's called Inside of a Dog, What Dogs See, Smell, and Know. And so this, oh, and it's by Alexandra Horowitz. I love this book because it shares like the science behind dogs' hearing and their smell and their sight, and gives you a better idea of what dogs know and what they're capable of. If you are a dog lover, you're going to love this because it just shares, it gives you an idea of what your furry friend is actually experiencing around you. So very interesting. This one here is called I Let You Go by Clare MacKintosh. I picked up this book because I saw it all over Pinterest, because clearly they had picked up on my interest based on other books that I had pinned. And this one filled my page. So I thought, you know what? I need to give it a go. And oh my goodness, Pinterest, you know me, because other than my favorite book of all time, which I will mention, this is my new favorite. It's my second favorite. Oh my goodness, you think you have an idea of what's happening in this book, and then bam, like you're just like, what just happened? How? Like your mind gets blown, and it makes you want to go back and read again, because it's so crazy, and you don't see it coming. You literally don't. Usually I can catch on to twists because I've read so many books, but no, this one, like you like Gone Girl, you're gonna die over this one. It is so good. I guess I should give you an idea. I can't tell you too much because this book won't allow for it. I'll spoil it. On a rainy afternoon, a mother's life is shattered as her son slips from her grip and runs into the street. Yes, I can tell you he is killed. So this is the story of it. I Let You Go follows Jenna Gray as she moves to a ramshackle cottage on the remote Welsh coast, trying to escape the memory of the car accident that plays again and again in her mind, desperate to heal from the loss of her child and the rest of her painful past. Oh my gosh. And then it also follows the story of the police as they're investigating it. So this book is written from multiple perspectives, which I love. You need to read it. If you're not going to try any of these books in this whole video, at least try this one. Next up, The Couple Next Door by Shari, Lapena. Probably butchered it. This is another really good book. I mentioned it before. I can't remember if this is mine or if this belongs to my friend. I need to ask her if I accidentally stole it. Anyways, I just want to try this. Does it look real? Sorry, I just had to try it. So this book I really liked. If you like Gone Girl, you will definitely like this style of book. It's a story of a couple, and they go visit the couple next door. Their baby is actually still at their house while they go visit the couple next door. They live in townhouses, so it's literally just on the other side of the wall. They keep going to check on her every half hour, but then when they come home at the end, she's missing. And so it follows the story of who took her, why did they take her, and so of course there's a lot of twists and turns, and you know the couple next door is related in some way because that's the title of the book, but how, you don't really find out until near the end. And just like the motive behind who would take this child and the fear in losing a child. Definitely a really good book, page turner. I would say it's on par with Gone Girl as far as how good it is. Not as good as I Let You Go, but still a really good book, and I do recommend it. Okay, now we have my favorite book of all time, written by Jodi Picoult, and that is called The Pact. It's about a couple, a teenage girl and a teenage boy, and the girl asks the boy to make a pact to commit suicide together. And it goes into the mind of the girl and the boy. She writes from both perspectives. And so it gives you an idea of the girl and why she would want to kill herself. And it's really sad, but it's interesting to read through that perspective and to read through his perspective. It's a very sad book, I'm not going to lie. It can be depressing, but also it's just, I don't know what it was about this book that I just enjoyed so much. And it didn't make me feel happy or good, it just was so interesting. But anyway, so it gives that perspective, but also it's a pact for them both to commit suicide, and only one person ends up dead. So you're wondering, did he actually kill her and just make this whole story up? Or how did it end up that she killed herself and he didn't? You know, like, and so the police are looking at it from that perspective, thinking he's a murderer. His family's thinking he's a murderer. And all this time they were a couple and they're thinking, how did this happen? And the families were really close and now they're being pushed apart because of it. It's just such a good story. And it's very, and you get very committed to the story. It's a real page turner. So if you have not read The Pact by Jodi Picoult, go pick it up. Value Village always has like 3 or 4 copies. That's where I got this one here. And I mean, it's a long book. Like there's a lot of pages. The print is tiny, but it is just, it's so good. I could not put it down. And that concludes my book reading list and recommendations. For all you book lovers out there, please let me know your favorite books. I am always looking for new books to try. And if you are not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.